time, I will chant Om and we will try to meditate. Those of you who have got initiation into a mantra can do the chanting of that mantra or do meditation as is prescribed by your guru. And the others, please sit erect with your limbs loose but straight and try to focus on the word Om. And whenever your focus goes away from this Om, try to bring it back on this word. Also, try to visualize your body as a holy place, which it is, and also your mind as the residing place of Brahman, which it is, and in that mind try to visualize Om. For those who have been initiated, you can do the japa of the mantra. Om. Om. We are trying to study the Katha Upanishad, death with a difference, because if we know that death is but a passing phase in the life, if we can call it that, of a soul, we will be free from fear of death. And also, we are trying to understand how to go beyond death, how to be free from the entire cycle, as the Indian tradition tells it, of births and death. So, up to the 10th mantra of the second canto of the first chapter, we saw 2 weeks back. Now we go back again to the second canto and we resume it from there. The 11th mantra. Kamasya aptim jagata pratishtham. Kamasya aptim jagata pratishtham. So, okay, we have not chanted the Shanti mantra, so we should not invite any Ashanti. Better chant the Shanti mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Even the mantra we can chant. I will chant once and you can follow. Kamasya aptim jagatah pratishtham. Krator anantyam. Abhayasya param. Stomam. Mahad urugayam. Pratishtham drishtva. Dhritya dhiro. Nachiketotya So Yama, the Lord of Death, is telling Nachiketa. Now till now we saw first the incident of how Nachiketa ended up going to the house of abode of Yama, and then how he was tempted. First he was offered 3 boons, then 3 lo to ek free, so 3 plus 1 he got an offer, and then all these boons, and then how he was tempted. For the last boon, when he asked that I want to know what is the secret of death. Asti iti cha eke, nayam asti iti cha eke. There are many who say that after the death of a soul, the soul remains. Some say that it doesn't remain. So I want to unravel this mystery. When the Lord of Death, Yama, is asked this question by Nachiketa, then begins a series of allurements or temptations by Yama. And then after that is over, he says that, oh, you are such a nice person. Even though I tempted, you did not fall for those temptations. But now, even now, we have not understood the process or the methodology which we have to adopt to understand what happens after death. So all these things are kind of a build-up before the actual story starts. Sometimes in a movie the actual story starts way after the intermission. So now here also, already 1 canto is over, 2nd canto is also going to be over. The story has not yet begun. It will start. So here it's kind of starting. But before that again, Nachiketa is being appreciated by Lord Yama. He is saying, Drishtva, having examined kamasya aptim. You see the end of desire. There is only so much desire can bring. So you see, we were not becoming very dismal, but we were thinking that very less crowd means, so even on the audience and also the speaker, a kind of demoralizing effect. So now we are getting a breath of fresh air. So good. So kamasya aptim jagata pratishtham. Kamasya aptim, the extent of desire. How far can desire take you to? It can really take you to a great extent, but not in the positive sense always. So, what can desire bring? Like, what does it bring? So our answer is, it always brings trouble. Desire always brings trouble. What does it bring? In the legend of Yayati, you see, it's a wonderful thing to even think. So there is a legend that Yayati was there is a king, he had 2 sons, and then he lived for 1,000 years. Wow, we need that kind of legend, no? 1,000 years, we can do with such kind of life. So 1,000 years, and then he was not satisfied with 1,000, then he borrowed other person's life. Wonderful. So there is the other day, I was watching this Hollywood movie, somewhat Time or something, I forgot the name of the movie. There, you don't have wealth, you only have time. Everyone has, can anyone say the name of the movie? Forgot. It's time, yeah. So you just go and you want to purchase something, say pizza, you give time. And then you take time. But people rob you of time. So, Yayati, this kind of technology is not there. Maybe you IITians can develop something like that. So, Yayati had that kind of technology. He said, son, oh, you give me your 1,000 years. And that fellow, probably he was into marriage or something, and he understood that I don't need more time, so he gave willingly. While proofreading an article, I saw this. Did I share this about marriage? No, I didn't. So marriage, I saw this marriage. You see, you have to, while reading proof, there is something called as hyphenation. Even there is a rule where hyphen can come. It cannot come everywhere. So I was seeing that M-A-R and hyphen. Then it struck me that marriage starts with mar, ends with age, and has R-I in between. You know what is R-I? In criminal language, rigorous imprisonment. So, okay. So anyway, probably Yayati's son had married or something like that. So he was willing to give away his 1,000 years to his father. And father took more 1,000 years and again 1,000 years. And then he sees that however more he lives, whatsoever the duration may be of his life, he does not seem to be satisfied with life. Then he said that it is like pouring ghee into fire. That's all right if you pour ghee to keep the fire alive. But if you want to put out the fire and you are pouring ghee, that doesn't work out. So if you want to satisfy desires, means you want to get rid of desires, then stop. The more you have Domino's pizza, the more you want. You say keep them coming. More and more. Then you want to say, okay, Pizza Hut ka thoda comparison kar lete, like now again Domino's. So this doesn't work. So kamasya aptim. To what extent can desire take us to? That is the question. And Yama says that you have examined it. You have actually examined it, but he did not examine it. Nachiketa is a boy practically. So where did he examine it? He examined it just like Lord Buddha did. He just examined it, what we call a thought experiment. He just examined it in his brain. That's what that's why we are provided with this equipment, you see, to do thought experiments. So he examined this. And just like Buddha saw 4 scenes of suffering. What are the scenes?
Old age, death, disease, and then sannyasa.
Okay. Old age, disease, death, and sannyasin. And he asked his charioteer, whose name was? Okay. Chandana. So he says, okay, will I get the same old age? He says, yes. Will you get? Yes. So, that is, will everyone will get? Yes. So, what is this disease? Will you get it? Yes. I will get it? Yes. So, final. Then he asks death. Then he says, who is this person? Wonderful. So he says he has nothing to worry because he will get Bhiksha anyway. And he is a sannyasi. And he is wonderfully talking about Vedanta. He has nothing to do. So, oh, can I also do like that? Yes. Can you also do like that? Yes. So immediately comes to the conclusion that I have to give up my life as such. There is suffering and there should be a cause of suffering and there should be a solution of suffering. Very logical. Unlike what general people believe is, all traditional methods of spirituality, I would not call them religion, are very logical and very practical. They have been proven time and again, and it is very time tested. Only we do not have the patience to practice them. That's the point. So if you ask a person after B.Tech what you do, very few people will take us for M.Tech. Then if you ask M.Tech, after M.Tech what you will do, very few people again will do PhD. And if you ask these PhD people what you will do, very few people will go for postdoctoral research. So that we know. So similarly, this is the thing. So kamasya aptim jagata pratishtha. Once you understood drishtva, having seen the extent of desire, to the extent, having seen doesn't mean exactly that he has actually experienced it physically, but he has done this thought experiment, he has examined. Having seen that, jagata pratistham anantyam krato param abhayasya. After knowing that, jagata pratistham, you have gone to the basis of this universe. What is the basis of universe? According to Katha Upanishad, Brahman. You call it Brahman, you call it God, you call it by any name, but there is a basis of this universe. And once you understood that desire cannot take you to a great extent, then you go to this basis of a universe. And Katha Upanishad defines that basis. What is that? Anantyam. What is Anantyam? Infinitude. Infinity. Infinity is the basis of this universe. How can infinity become basis? Infinity which cannot be quantified. How can it become basis? That is the exact point. You cannot quantify the basis. Because once you quantify, then there is something else which is... We will come to that. Today I have brought some kind of figurative models to drive this point into my brain rather than your brain. That what is infinity and why Advaita has to become infinite, etc. So anyway, kratoho. Kratoho, you see this word krit can be used, this is the root of the word kratoho, and it can be used in various meanings. So here it is meditation. Kratoho. Param abhayasya. Param means the boundary, the ultimate limit, the stretch, the boundary, line of actual control, something like that. Param abhayasya. So you are meditating on the extent, on the outside limit of fearlessness. Abhayasya. What is the outside limit of fearlessness? In fact, in another context we have discussed this here. See, there is fearlessness at the physical level, or it appears it to be so. Then fearlessness at the mental level, like theek hai, gate ka exam de denge. What is the big deal? So that is being fearless about gate. So then there is fearlessness at the emotional level. Okay, no problem, I will marry. So this is very fearless person. Then fearless at the spiritual level. So you have fearlessness at various levels. What can be the ultimate of fearlessness? Anybody? In fact, it should be the other way around. You should be speaking, I should be listening. You have been fed so much of Vedanta already.
End of the life, death, no day.
No, not exactly. But you have come close. End of death and life, both. Yes, Professor Somnath ji?
Existence, permanent existence.
Ultimate of fearlessness. Ultimate of fearlessness. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says,
Dvitiya. Something that doesn't change actually.
No. Please go to the crux. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Dvitiyat vai bhayam bhavati. Why does fear come? Because of the other. The other. There is somebody to be afraid of. So that's why people are afraid of marriage. You see, there's always somebody to be afraid of. Dvitiyat vai. So what is the ultimate of fearlessness? When there is no other. When there is no duality. The goat is always afraid of the tiger. The tiger is afraid of something else, like that. So, you remove the duality, you remove the other. There is only one, you remove the other, and that is what. So, you have started meditating, you have started contemplating here. Oh, you have started contemplating. Everybody wants some shake, some shaking. So you have started contemplating on the ultimate of fearlessness, the infinite nature of the universe, that is the infinite basis of this universe. You already started contemplating, and that's a good thing according to Nachiketa, according to Yama. Then he says, Urugayam, extensive path. This path is a never-ending path. It's a long path. It's a long path. When you start walking towards Amarnath, you feel that when will this end? Kind of. So that's why now they have started this helicopter business. So you don't need to walk. But that kind of removes the charm from the pilgrimage. So Urugayam, extensive path. Stoma Mahat. And stoma is coming from the root stu, that means to praise, or stuti. So stoma, it is something which is praiseworthy, and it is mahat, it is great. Pratishtham, and what is it? This infinite nature, which is the basis of this universe, is actually your own basis. It's actually your own self. It's not something which is coming from the outside. Because if it were to come from the outside, it could not have been the ultimate limit of fearlessness. Because from outside it will come again, you will be afraid of that fellow. So all ideas of this Brahma, four-faced Brahma sitting up somewhere in the top floor, and somebody else coming and scolding you, the day you do this, otherwise you will get papa. These are all childish ideas of spirituality. Though they are all workable ideas, with no disrespect to people who practice them. But they, as Swami Vivekananda said, it is good to be born in a church, but bad to die there. It's good to begin from that conception of spirituality, but it's very bad to just get stuck up there. Because this idea is that somebody is sitting there with rod, spare the rod and spoil the child. So we always need that, jiski lathi uski bhans. So we need this lathi. So that idea is a childish idea of spirituality. What is the real idea? That aham brahmasmi, that I am the infinite. So how can I be the infinite? That is the whole process of contemplation. That you see what is aham and what is Brahma. Brahma. And then you come to the conclusion that actually they are one. So here he says that you have started your journey on the extensive path, on this seemingly never-ending path, which is both great and praiseworthy, and you are going to understand your own state. In the attempt to understand the universe, that's why probably Albert Einstein towards the end of his life he became more spiritual kind of thing. You see, because he was trying to understand that one force which will explain all the basic forces of nature. Akin to the question asked by a disciple in a Upanishad. What is the question? Kasminno bhagavo vijñātum sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. What is that? Knowing which I will know everything. You see, this question is exactly the question which Einstein asked and which led to a lot of development. So now, dhritya dhiraha atyasrakshihi. But this requires what which we lack? Patience.
Maharaj, why this is an extensive path? Those who are knowledgeable, to them, can it be an extensive path?
Yeah, it is extensive.
Those who are not knowledgeable, for us, I don't know where is the limit. But
You see, that's what, you see, the problem starts with there. You are teaching in IIT, and if you are not knowledgeable, who is? So that means it's really a serious problem. So it is extensive, yes, because over births and various births, we have accumulated samskaras. Actually, technically, when the Guru says aham tattvamasi, you are that, and I say aham brahmasmi, immediately I should tell and knowledge should come. What is preventing me? Sun is there. I am not going to bring sun from somewhere. Only the clouds are obstructing the sun. So my job is not to bring knowledge. It is not possible. Knowledge is always there. Because if I were to bring knowledge, then it would have a cause. Everything which has a cause will become finite. So what I am going to do is, I am going to remove ignorance. So the extensive path, it is extensive not because of knowledge. It is extensive because of ignorance. So all this time what I am trying to do is, I am trying to remove the dark clouds which are covering my sun. And that is again extensive because I have been nurturing ignorance. I have been cultivating ignorance over various births. I have been cultivating the sense of the other. It's very strong, no? I am sitting here, you are watching me. Or you are sitting there, I am watching you. This mic, everything. I am constantly cultivating the sense of duality. And that is what makes this path extensive. Did you get the point?
Yeah.
That's what Swami Vivekananda says, sledgehammer blows. If you go to a, forgery, not that forgery, forging shop. Foundry it's called, no? Not forgery. Okay, I made up a word. Foundry. You go to a foundry, you see that this steel is made into sheets. So that is what. We are constantly given blows by nature to make us understand. Actually, we do not understand. What is it trying to make us understand? It is trying to make us understand that this is unreal. See, when you write a program and then you run it and it gives you a problem, error, then you go and check it, and again that's the whole process. So you know that there is something wrong. But our program has been written and it has got a self-debugging mechanism, but we are not aware. Every time we get a blow in our life, we think that something went wrong only with me. No, no, no. The nature or God or whatever is trying to convey to you that this is not real. The program or the code is wrong. So try to change it. That is the idea. So extensive because of that, because of the ignorance. And what is necessary? Dhritya, patience and intelligence. Dhira, both intelligence and patience. Just by intelligence like Indians do, jugaad, somehow manage. That will not happen in this case. You have to also be perseverant, patient, and see the end of it. That is what is told to Nachiketa, and Lord Yama is saying, Atyas Rakshihi, you have renounced. You have renounced. You have renounced, you have given up this for something higher. You have not renounced just like that. You have given up this for something higher. Whenever you give up something for something higher, only then it stands. Otherwise, it doesn't stand. Why? Because whenever you will get something else, you will go. Just like the parable of Sri Ramakrishna, where he he had a quarrel with his wife. He went away to Kashi, and after some time, he wrote a letter that I have got a job here, you can also come down after some time. So that was his renunciation. So not like that. Now, Nachiketa has been certified by Yama. He says that yes, you have started the journey. Then, next what? Tam durdarsham gudham anupravishtam guhahitam gavvareshtham puranam adhyatma yogadigamena devam matva dhiro harsha shokau jahati. So what happens? He says, you see, tam durdarsham gudam anupravishtam. Why is this very difficult? Again the question, why is this path so extensive? Because our Lord, we all know computer games nowadays, this mystery games are very popular in computer games. You have a screen and there are so many things hidden, you have to spot them, right? And you go on spotting them. There are various levels. First level it is very difficult. easy. Second level it is, so it's like very addictive. So when you are into the third level, you know that it is very difficult to find things, but you cannot leave it also. Very addictive. So similarly, mystery games, search, treasure hunt games. So our God, Mr. God or Mrs. God, why only Mrs. or Miss God? Okay. So Miss God, Goddess, she is very cleverful. Huh? Acha, sorry. So she is very cleverful. She is full of, cleverness. What she is done, first of all, as we are told in Katha Upanishad, later on we will see, Paransi Khani Vetrinath Swayambhu. She created an equipment with a manufacturing defect. What is the manufacturing defect? We can see only outside, we cannot see inside. That is a manufacturing defect. All of us have got that, and we do not have any warranty also. No replaceable guarantee. That is the problem. And then, if by mistake some people, Kashchit Dhira, some people, wise people, if they turn their search inwards, it is very difficult to search also. That is what this mantra says. It has been hidden. It is something which is hidden. So just not that just now we meditated for 5 minutes, all of you would have thought that you would have got a halo or some illumination. It's not so simple. Probably some people were going on the boundary of sleep. A study says that Indians are the most sleep deprived in the globe now. So all of us, what we need actually is a good night's sleep. So that we can do. And I think we have completely misunderstood Swami Vivekananda, his saying, arise, awake and stop not. Not in that sense, arise, awake. So please sleep. Have your quota of sleep. So this goddess, she has hidden our true nature. Tam, that self is durdarsham, hard to see. Hard to see and hardly seen. Tam durdarsham. Gudam anupravishtam. And gudam, it has been anupravishtam, it has been lodged inaccessibly. It has been put in such a place that you cannot. Some people, they purchase books of Swami Vivekananda and keep it in such a rack that they will never touch it. No, they want to be away from such problem. So gudam anupravishtam, guhahitam, and it is guha. Guha is some cave where there will be no illumination. These are the ideas we have of meditation. You go to a far-flung place and where there is no illumination and nothing, and you sit there. And what happens when you sit there? Huh? No. When you go to such a place and people do elaborate arrangements. They purchase asana and they go, I am going for meditating and all that. They go and sit there, and when they close their eyes, they think that some snake or scorpion is going to come and bite them. That's what happens. So instead of that, your room, which is well furnished and quite clean, you can sit there and meditate. So anyway, guha hitam. So guha ahitam. Here guha does not mean that cave. Here it means intellect. So this whole problem is from your brain. Most of the problems are actually from your brain only. So that problem is from your brain. Instead of understanding your true nature, you have projected this universe. You have projected this concept of duality. So it says, Gahvareshtam. And it's in the midst of misery. Gahvareshtam. It's in the midst of misery. So much, the moment you understood that there is, or you projected this universe, the moment you created a universe, you created a family, you created a relationship, and then your misery started. वो phone नहीं करते, मैं phone करने से reply नहीं करते, all this kind of, paraphernalia, misery. And this goes on and on and on and on and on. There is no, it doesn't seem to end at all. Matva Puranam. And this Puranam means, Pura word is, it means old, but in this context it means which is eternal. And Matva means, actually it means having that opinion, Matva. But here it means meditating on. So meditating on that eternal deity which deity can be eternal? Only the self or Brahman. Your own self, your own true self. What is this self? What is this I? This can be an interesting question. When I was in Kanpur, the first day there was a talk, and the next day from 9:30 to 3:30 in the morning, a group of 11 people and me, we were discussing what is I. And it was quite an exciting discussion. Nanotechnology came, robotics came, artificial intelligence came, all kind of things came. Most of them were PhD students. So, and some were, 5 were computer science PhD students. So, it went on, and finally, without any hint from my side, 6 of them arrived at the conclusion that I is consciousness. So you see, if you can do thought experiments, they started with the idea that I is body. And they came to the idea of Sankhya. In fact, I could see the evolution of Indian philosophy in that room. So, all people are intelligent, and if intelligent people can put some thought, some time for these existential questions of life. Because we are suffering, that is true. Some may suffer because of the girlfriend, some may because of the boyfriend, some because of husband or wife. Whatever the cause may be, we are suffering. So if we can put some thought to these things, we can make our lives much more simpler and better. Anyway, so this is the idea, the self, I. This I is eternal, and you are meditating on this eternal self which has been hidden from you, seemingly, which is very difficult to see. Katha Upanishad again will say, Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudo atma na prakashate. This atma which is hidden, this your true self, na prakashate. It is not manifest, it is not visible. Drishyate tu agraya buddhya. And it is visible only to people who have a sharp intellect. Sukshmaya sukshma darshibihi, who can see the subtle of the subtlest. So, Adhyatma Yoga Adhigamena. And also what you are doing? Adhyatma Yoga, Adhi Atma, one that is based on your own self. Adhyatma means what? Adhyatma we say, means what? One that is based on your own self. Adhi means, Adhikarana means based on. Atma means your own self. So that is that which is based on your own self. You concentrate your mind on your own self, Adhyatma Yoga, and through that, Dhiraha, the intelligent man, one who concentrates, thinks, conducts thought experiments, analyzes, Dhiraha, Harsha Shokau Jahati. That intelligent man gives up sorrow and happiness. You see, we have an idea that sorrow we will give up, not happiness. They are just the obverse and the reverse of the same coin. So Swami Vivekananda says in his Song of Sannyasin that they are all shackles, they are chains. Some are of gold, some are of iron. Anything which gives the idea of sense of enjoyership or doership, that you are the doer, that you are the enjoyer, is a bondage. So you have to give up that idea that you are the doer or you are the enjoyer. In Sanskrit it is called kartrutva bhoktrutva. So you have to give up the idea. That is why in Gita, in the 11th chapter, 33rd shloka, we see Arjuna is being told by Shri Krishna, Tasvat tvam uttishta yasho labhasva. Therefore, because in the previous shlokas he has given the explanation. He says, Tasmat, therefore, tvam uttishta yasho labhasva. You get up and attain to glory. Jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samriddham. Having conquered the enemies, enjoy the prosperous kingdom. Mayai maya eva yete. Through me, even Lord does not say, I have destroyed the enemies. He says, through me, maya eva yete nihatan purvameva. These purvameva, yete means these enemies have been nihatan, killed. Purvameva, already they have been killed. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin. You just be the instrument. For example, our pen. the writing instrument which we use. If the instrument says that, if the instrument has an ego of its own, you want to write something and it doesn't write. We are also used to strikes, so your pen also suppose goes on a strike. Wonderful. So that's what is happening. You are bringing ego, and when ego comes into play, suffering comes. And how you can go beyond suffering and happiness? By going beyond ego. Harsha shokau jahati. In Chandogya Upanishad, we have another statement. Tarati shokam tarati atmavit. The knower of self goes beyond shokam, sorrow. Actually, he or she also goes beyond happiness and sorrow. Now, this is what is being told by Yama to Nachiketa. And this is the crux of the thing. What is the crux of the thing? First you understand, then you have patience, first you examine the problem, then you know that the path is this, then you have patience, and then you try to find this, you go on a treasure hunt. That's what you do. You go on a treasure hunt. You try to find the nature of the self which is seemingly hidden. And that is why an example is given in the scriptures. What is the example? You were wearing a necklace and suddenly you forgot that you are wearing it. So you go around searching for the necklace. And finally when you go and stand in front of the mirror, which most of us do for a good number of time in our day-to-day activities, many people, they constantly stand in front of the mirror. So you go and stand in front of the mirror and you find that necklace is there where it was supposed to be. So that is the idea. So you search for this treasure. So fearlessness, usually we have this kind of an idea of fearlessness. That is the physical idea of fearlessness. But we have to go beyond any dualistic idea of fearlessness. A fearlessness where we do not have the other. Where we, na rahega bans, na bajegi bansuri. You remove the cause of fear. So you do not have anything or anybody to be afraid of. Then concentration also, this is our regular idea of concentration, but we are not talking about this kind of concentration here, though this also is necessary for material purposes. But our idea of concentration is when you can analyze the pros and cons of a particular situation. Nitya, anitya, vastu, vivekaha. So you know whether this is real or this is unreal. Whether this is going to take you to the final goal. You have various goals. The ultimate goal is that you understand yourself. But before that you have a goal of a career, roti, kapda and makan and so on and so forth. So whether this will take you to the ultimate goal of understanding your own self, that question should come in your mind. Now,
Swamiji, I have a question.
yes.
Regarding fearlessness, if we take the example of that mammoth and elephant in the Ramakrishna Katha, then whatever the mammoth is also Narayan, Mount Narayan, elephant Narayan also, and the boy also is Narayan. Now next, though it is everything Narayan, but still we have to be careful about the elephant Narayan.
Yes.
So
No, see, that you have to be careful because there also you have a dualistic concept.
But it is there in the normal life.
No, that's what we are talking about, going beyond that concept. That's in a different context altogether. We are talking about spiritual practice now. As long as you have a dualistic other, you will have somebody to be afraid of. That will be there. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says that people who are evildoers, you do pranam to them from distance. But that is a very empirical statement. But we are not talking about that here. We are talking about spiritual practice. So in a spiritual practice, you will have to go beyond the idea of the other. That is very much there. Actually, that is the point. The whole world is very much there because of ignorance. In our day-to-day activity itself is there because of my ignorance. My day-to-day activity itself is wrong. My day-to-day activity is there because of my ignorance. Otherwise, I don't need this day-to-day activity.
But this self-realized person like Ramakrishna goes in front of elephant, he will not be careful.
You see, you are trying to judge the actions of a self-realized person by your worldview. That will never happen because you have a different model. He has a different model. So, unless you go to that model, you will not understand. So, our idea is not to think about empirical solutions now, because we are now saying that the whole because suffering will come from empirical reality only. So, we are trying to go beyond empirical reality, because when we talk about empirical reality, death is very much there. What we are now talking about is going beyond death. So that is going beyond empirical reality. You see, whenever prophets come, they have two kinds of statements. One for the empirical world and one for the spiritual world. We cannot mix up two. In fact, some religions have created a lot of confusion because they mixed up two. And that is why in the Indian tradition there is a clear demarcation of Shruti and Smriti. Smriti is something which comes from memory, Shruti is something which comes from the oral tradition. Vedas are called Shrutis and Smritis are the Puranas or Itihasas like Mahabharata, etc. And there are also social codes of conduct, something similar to the Criminal Procedure Code or Indian Penal Code. Manu Smriti, Raghunandan Smriti, Yagyavalkya Smriti, etc. So now Yama says, Yama is very hopeful, very confident. He says, Etat Shrutva Samparigrihya Martyah Pravrihya. Okay, I will tell you, you can chant again. Etat Shrutva Samparigrihya Martyah Pravrihya Dharmyam Anumetamapya Samodate Modaniyam Hilabdva Vivritam Sadma Nachiketa Sammanye. So now Yama says, Etat Shrutva, after having heard this about this self, about the nature of the self, about the reality of self or Brahman, some parigrihya, and not only hearing it, after having understood it properly. So all of us hear so many things, but somebody was asking, telling me today, Bhagavan ne do kaan kyun diye hain? And it's like tunnel, wind tunnel. So some parigrihya. That is why the Upanishad says, some parigrihya. You listen and then you understand, grasp it fully. Pravrihya. Have I told you, in Trivandrum, there is one temple. It's called the temple of Suchindram. It's actually a Shiva temple. In that temple, there are a lot of courtyard kind of stuff. So in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, temples can be quite big. In fact, in Tamil Nadu, they can be really big. So I think this is in, no, it is in Kerala. It's at the border, so part Tamil culture is also there. So Travancore. So there are 3 statues. You take a stick and put into the ear of one statue and it comes out through the next ear. So you take another stick and put it in the ear of another statue, it comes out through the mouth. And another stick you take and put it into the ear of another statue, it does not come out. I am just wondering how many sticks will be there in the third statue. Somebody has to excavate and see. Anyway, this is a model of 3 kinds of students. One student is totally nishkam, has got nothing to do. In Gita there is a shloka. The other day I went to a function and the function was an annual function of school kids from nursery to 4th standard. And they had called 3 people. So I was one and another one was the headmaster, the principal of the institution, and another one was a writer who is quite famous. He writes books for kids, story books. So they the dais was 15 feet away from the first line of the audience. Okay, and there was no light in the audience. It was open air and only the stage had light. And the podium was 5 feet inside the stage. So as distant as possible from the audience. So, and what happens when kids are there? Baba, Ma, all kinds of shouting is going on. And all the teachers are quite busy, samblaudam, and all parents are also busy. And this fellow comes, and I got a new perspective on this shloka, karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. See, I have read so many commentaries, but it's an actual perspective I got. So this person comes, principal, and he says, Namaskar, Amra Dekshi. He goes on speaking, without any expectation of result. He was totally not expecting any result, because that whole chaos, he could write a new chaos theory. The whole chaos was going on, and he was going on speaking. I do not know to whom he spoke. And then this author came, and then I realized that good writing is one thing and good speaking is totally another. He came and he said, principal Mosai bole he was going on. It's like a monotonous something. Then I said, wow. Then I asked them, do you have a cordless mic? No. And you know how I can do buffoonery. So I took the cordless mic, went to the edge of the stage, and then I said Namaskar. That's not a big thing, but I kept on saying it. And 2 times then people, first I gave a Om, so all the children saw that, what is this, some new sound coming. Then I said Namaskar, then nothing. Then everybody started speaking, again talking. Then again Namaskar. Then they thought this fellow is total madcap. Then 3rd time Namaskar. Then I said Sunte Vachina, means I am not able to hear. Namaskar. Then immediately the kids realized that now we have to respond. Then I said Namaskar. So you maintain the connect. Talk in the language they understand. So not that kind of a, karmanya vadikaraste, people understand in a totally different perspective. So not that kind of thing. Here, when you listen, you first kind of student is listens and then karmanye vadikaraste, not bothered about results. Second is, like me, chatterbox. So listens and then forgets because constantly speaking. So the data packet which came in went out wherever nobody knows it. So, and third one is listens and remembers. So first is adhama, completely useless vidyarthi, and second one is madhyama, and third one is uttama. So we need to be best students. So after listening, you have analyzed and understood it. Pravrihya, not only that, you have pravrihya dharmyam apyam etam anum. Okay, the subtle thing has become subtler thing. It's a spelling mistake. Excuse me for that. No, it is not so very subtle there. Subtle. Anyway. So, etam, etat, you have understood, and then you have separated the righteous, dharmyam, apyam, etam, anum. You have separated the righteous from the material things, and then you have attained this anum. What is anum? The realization of self or the nature of self. How is it anum? Sukshmaya sukshma darshibihi. Only those people who can see the subtlest of the subtle can see this, because it is very microscopic. It's it's a way of telling. The Upanishad wants to tell that it is not so easily understood. So you have to be very, very careful. So anum, once you have learnt this, heard this, analyzed this, separated it from what? Empirical, material things, body, mind, all these things, intellect, all these things you have separated. No, this is not my nature, this is not my, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. You have separated, and finally you have arrived at this realization. Labdva modate modaniyam. Labdva. So, and you are now sahamartya, a person who does this process, a person who shravanam, listens, mananam, contemplates, nididhyasanam, further meditates on that, and then understands the true self, and then modate, modaniyam labdva modate, rejoices after attaining this. So Sri Ramakrishna's parable is there, that a person is there, there is a compound wall, and a person is just seeing what is happening at the other side, and lot of parties going on, a happening place. And then this person also falls there and just enjoys. Third person or second person also. Third person just sees there, understands the joy is there, and comes and tells the other people that there is joy there. So these are the prophets. So I and you are not prophets. We can first go and enjoy. So modate modaniyam labdva. Something which is happy, enjoyable, not in the sense of dual enjoyable, enjoyment in the dualistic sense, but in the non-dualistic sense. So that's why there is a separate word. It's called bliss. Not in the English sense, because in English bliss and enjoyment are all one and the same thing. Only the degree is different. In Sanskrit, Ananda. So you don't say Brahma Sukham, you say Brahmananda. Because the joy of understanding yourself is not a joy in the sense of contrasting it with sorrow. It is not the opposite of sorrow. It is a joy which is beyond happiness and sorrow. So modaniyam labdva, this is truly that which gives you delight, because it cannot be taken away from you. Manye sadma vivrutam nachiketasam. So now Yama is saying that now I am sure Nachiketa has been given this secret formula, and using this secret formula he will understand this great joy he will get, which is hidden, gudam anupravishtam, and then vivrutam, this great mansion is open. Interior castle. This is the name of a book written by Saint Teresa of Avila. She wrote a book. Why is this interior castle? Because it is like, once you understand the spiritual nature, it's like living in the castle. Like a Raja, Maharaja, Emperor, or a Queen, Begum. You live and you have all the joy that can be. So, Yama says, now I am sure that Nachiketa will get all the joy. Okay. So, now this analysis, Sri Ramakrishna gives us the parable of sugar and sand. Sugar and sand. So there is sugar and there is sand. And you both have been mixed. Adulteration. So nowadays we are living in the era of adulteration. So before anybody contemplates on suicide, please consider not taking poison. Instead of taking poison, you take something edible, you will die. So, how to separate this? There is another imagery of Paramahamsa, which separates what?
Milk and water.
Yeah, so we need that. Why? Because of this, we need this Paramahamsa. The Paramahamsa will come, first milkman will come, give the milk, and then the Paramahamsa will remove water. So it is very much necessary. Because you see, people are pouring water into milk like anything. So this kind of analysis we should do. That is what is told by the Upanishad. Anyatra dharmat. Huh? It is not going.
Water.
So much of water. What was it?
Going water in the
Huh. Anyatra dharmat. Anyatra adharmat. Anyatra asmat. Krita akritat. Anyatra bhutacha. Bhavyacha. Yattat pashyasi tadvada. So now we are talking about analysis. Now Yama says to Nachiketa that anyatra dharmat, anyatra adharmat. You analyze and find something which is different from virtue. Different from virtue. What does that mean, different from virtue? We all want to be virtuous. So that is the point. Even being virtuous is inside the realm of duality. It is inside the realm of, so you all become happy. Okay, तब तो झूठ ही बोलना पड़ेगा. चलो झूठ बोलते हैं. No, you have to also go beyond the vice also. Different from vice. Anyatra adharmat. Adharmat anyatra, dharmat anyatra. Good and bad both have to be given up. Anyatra asmat krita akrita. You have to go beyond the effect and the cause. If the cause is there, murgi will be there. If egg is there, KFC will be there. So, anyatra bhuta. I will be now entering into some key concepts of Advaita Vedanta. Anyatra bhutacha bhavyacha. It should be different from bhutat, past, and also bhavyat, future. So it has to be different from past and future, also present. That is not told, but it is intended. Yat pashyasi tat vada. And whatever you see there, you tell me. What you see, you tell me. This is what Nachiketa says. You tell me what is different from virtue and vice. You tell me what is different from past and present and future. You tell me what is different from cause and effect. Now in this mantra, Advaita Vedanta has been put in a nutshell form. What is Advaita Vedanta? You see, Vedanta is the sixth system of philosophy of India. First is Sankhya, then so Uttar Mimamsa means Mimamsa and Purva Mimamsa, or Uttar Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa means Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa is Vedanta. Vedanta has got three broad classifications. First one is Dvaita, second is not historically actually Dvaita came later on. So Vishishta Advaita, Advaita. Dvaita is of Madhvacharya. Vishishta Advaita was propounded by Ramanujacharya, and Advaita Vedanta we say that it was propounded by Shankaracharya. Okay, fine. But what does Advaita say? Dvaita means duality. Advaita means non-duality. Why that much trouble? It could have simply told Ekata, and should have told unity. What would have been the problem? Instead of saying not two, it could have told one.
One means two is there.
One means two is there. So if I say 0, there is 1 and minus 1. So that is why not 2 means there is no 2. There is only one reality, not two. Advaita. Is sometimes used in Sanskrit in the sense of the negative. Bhava, entity, abhava, non-entity, etc. Some more example?
Abhi.
Correct. B means fear. But why do we see so many realities? Why do we see so many entities? Why do we see so many people, so many things, always multiplicity? If there was only one or there were no two, why do we always see so many multiple things? Because of ignorance. So there are of course some cosmic ignorance is there, individual ignorance is there, all these kind of big hair-splitting arguments and theories are there. Let us not go into that. So ignorance causes the one to appear as many. Now Advaita brings us to the great illusion of what? A dark room. This is semi-dark. Dark room has got a coiled rope and it appears as snake. This is what happens. You see rope and it appears as snake. And to remove that, what you have to do? You have to bring light. And then you understand that this is. Why not 2? As she rightly pointed out, when I say 1, it implies that there is 2. There is 0, there is -1. So that is why not 2. And the ultimate reality, if at all there has to be something ultimate reality, it has to be 1. Why? No. What I am asking is, forget about scriptures, forget about everything. Suppose, just hypothetically think there is an ultimate reality. Now ultimate reality, how many can it be?
If there is 2, then it is not ultimate.
Okay, it is not ultimate.
If there is 2, then it might be like there is a choice where to go.
So there is no ultimate. Then there are realities. Are we all agreeing on this? Yes? Anybody differing on this point? No. So ultimate reality means it has to be 1, right? This is a very fundamental concept and it does not require any Upanishad or anything to understand. So ultimate reality has to be 1. Now if ultimate reality has to be 1, it has to be also infinite. Is it not?
Yes.
It has to be infinite. Otherwise it will not be 1. How? Suppose you have this reality, say space, some space, idea of space. Now, it should be infinite in space, right? Ultimate reality should be infinite in space. If it is not, you have another space. So the boundary of this space makes it 2. So it is no more ultimate reality. So if that is not there, if 2 entities exist, then the reality will be limited by the second entity in space. So ultimate reality has to be 1, it has to be infinite, and it has to be infinite in space. Also, it has to be infinite in time. Why? Suppose there is t0 and there is some object. At t1, the object becomes changed. So, it is not ultimate. Are we clear on this? So again, ultimate reality has to be infinite in time. That means it should not change. Whatever t it may be tea, Nescafe or whatever, it should not change.
And that was the primary definition of truth, that it doesn't change in time.
Yeah. And also ultimate reality should be infinite in causation also. Why so? Because there is clay. Out of clay you make pot. If there is no clay, no pot. So that means ultimate reality cannot have a cause. If you have a cause, remove the cause and there is no ultimate reality. Are we clear on this? So ultimate reality has to be infinite, it has to be 1, it has to be infinite in space, time and causation. That is what this mantra says. It says that
I do not know, but somehow it doesn't sound. I mean, why should ultimate reality be in space at all or in time? That is not clear.
No. It is not in space or time. In fact, yeah, it's a very wonderful question. Space, time and causation are constructs of our own minds. Just like Upanishad uses words to explain which cannot be explained by words, similarly we are trying to grapple an entity using constructs which we understand. Are you getting that? Because do we understand infinity? Do we understand infinity? We do not. No, we do not. Because the moment you say you understand infinity, it is no more infinity.
No, you have a word which is not.
That's right. So it's a word for the unexplainable, inexplicable.
Swamiji, it can be said it is not bound by time, space and causation.
Another way of putting it, yes. So that is what this mantra says. It says that this is not virtue, this is not wise. And it is also not the cause, it is not the effect. It is not the past, present or the future. So virtue and vice, in space it is removed. There is no finite limits. And cause and effect, so in causation also it is infinite. And in time also it is infinite. So this is what we mean when we talk about the reality.
Swamiji, that ultimate truth can be the ultimate cause. Can it be ultimate cause?
Huh?
The ultimate truth can be the ultimate cause.
Cause of what?
Creation.
Huh?
Cause of all creations.
No, ultimate cause of what? Ultimate reality is ultimate cause.
Cause of ultimate cause.
No, see. In cause, okay, that is again a good point. There are two types of cause. One is the immediate cause, and there is another cause, material cause. Okay, so like the clay is the material cause for pot, and the potter is the person who does it. So Brahman or the ultimate reality is both the material and the immediate cause of this thing. Actually, there is no universe. It's out of ignorance that you find. If there were no rope, there would have been no snake. This illustration of rope and snake is very easy to understand. If there was no rope, there would have been no snake. The snake is there because there is rope. Further, the next shloka or mantra. Yes.
Sir, when we talk about causation here, does it mean like this event happened
because of some other?
In time it happened after something else, and we say that this caused this. But actually, it's like maybe I don't know why it happened is the cause, and it's not what preceded it.
No. Definitely, what preceded is not the cause. The cause is why it happened, not what precedes it. The cause of anything, any effect is what caused it, not what preceded it. That of course is clear. But even in ultimate reality, there will be no cause and effect thing. That relation will not be there. Then we come to this mantra, Sarve Veda Yat Padam Amananti Tapamsi Sarvani Chayad Vadanti Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahena Bravimi Om Iti Etat. So now it's kind of coming now. Is giving, Yama is giving us the secret formula. Yama is saying that Sarve Vedayat Padamamananti. See, all the Vedas, they tell about this goal. And Sarvani Tapamsi Vadanti. And all kinds of austerities speak of this goal. And yet Ichchantah, wishing to attain which Charanti Brahmacharyam. Many people take to the practice of Brahmacharya. What is Brahmacharya? First of all, you should have word, thought and speech unity. Unity of word, thought and speech. Second, you should lift yourself from the physical plane. It's also called celibacy. But celibacy, just celibacy is not Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is much more than that. But of course, you should be much more above than the physical plane. You should not only think of senses. So you should be above senses. And you should have alignment of speech, word and word, thought and deed. Manasa, vacha, karmana. So brahmacharyam bravimi sangrahena tat padam. I tell you, sangrahena, in short, I tell you tat padam, that goal. What is that goal? Om iti etat. The goal is Om. The goal is Om. Why Om? Because Om contains all the sounds. And it is also called Nada Brahman. Means it is sound Brahman. There is an entire philosophy called Spotavada, which says that sound is the ultimate reality or Brahman. We are not going into that. But what is told here is, using this word Om, you can attain to the highest. How? Etadeva aksharam brahma. Etadeva aksharam brahma. Etadeva aksharam param. Etadeva aksharam nyatva. Yo yadichati tasya tat. So the goal of the scripture is to give you the idea, give you the concept. With that concept, what you do, that is up to you. It is like pure science and applied science. So my idea as a pure scientist is just to give you the principles and the concepts of nature. You as a technology person, what you will do, that is your botheration. So Upanishad gives you the concept. Then it says, Yadichyati tasya tat. You can use this concept to attain whatever you want. It could be material, it could be empirical, it could be philosophical, it could be spiritual. But what is the concept? Etad eva aksharam brahma. This letter Om is aksharam brahma. Means it is inferior Brahman. Means Hiranyagarbha. There are two kinds of, there is only one Brahman. But figuratively speaking, there is like Hiranyagarbha. You go to Hiranyagarbha Loka and you stay there for 10 million years. Something like that. So that is also this letter. Etadeva aksharam param. And this is also the supreme Brahman. This is also the supreme Brahman. While Jnatva does not mean knowing, having known. Usually Jnatva means having known. But in this context it means while worshipping or meditating on this letter as Brahman, you consider Om. Swami Vivekananda wanted a temple to be made where there will be nothing, only Om will be there. He saw Om as a universal symbol of contemplation, meditation or whatever. That is why in the temple of Swami Vivekananda, where a temple is made where he was cremated in Belur Math, and the first floor you have an Om temple. So, Etadeva Aksharam. So this very letter is Brahman. Somebody meditates on this letter as Brahman. Yaha Ichchati Tattasya. Whatever you wish, you will get that. So you see, such a wonderful thing. Instead of spending so much time in other things, just meditate on Om and just you wish, you will get everything. And if you don't get, go and ask Yama. So, when you meditate or when you contemplate or when you are into some kind of practice, you constantly think of a same thing. That is what again Upanishad says, Etad alambanam shreshtham. Etad alambanam param. Etad alambanam nyatva. Brahma loke mahiyate. So, etad alambanam. Alambanam means medium. So, here Gayatri is topped off. What is the Gayatri mantra? Clearly, loudly. So that is the Gayatri. It's called the Savitri Gayatri. Actually, there are a lot of Gayatris. So it is Savitri Gayatri. So a Gayatri intended towards sun. Savitri Gayatri. Etad alambanam shreshtham. This is Sreshtham. Now it can be the Gayatri, it can be the Om. Some kind of such kind of mantra is a best medium. This medium
is best for attaining Brahman. There are various methodologies, but this methodology is best. Etad alambanam param. Not only it is best, but it is also Brahman.
So, one thing is Brahman, I mean, why we make differentiation? Supreme Brahman.
Actually, what it is trying to tell you is, when we say Iha apara falabhoga viraga. So apara means what? What could be apara phala? That you become Brahma, you become Hiranyagarbha, etc. So this inferior Brahman is that Hiranyagarbha. So figuring, actually there is only one Brahman. There is only one Brahman. So that is why to contrast it with that Hiranyagarbha, it is saying superior Brahman, Paramam. So that you don't understand it to be Hiranyagarbha, where you can be there in that loka for so many years and rule or whatever. So, not only that it is a good medium, but it is also Brahman. Both superior and inferior Brahman. Etad alambanam nyatva. Here also nyatva means meditating. Meditating on this Brahman. Brahmaloke mahiyate. If you meditate on this, then you also will be worshipped in the world of Brahman. See, this is what we call advertisement. For you to take up this spiritual practice, there is this advertisement, huge marketing strategy by Yama. So these kind of words are there in the Vedas. Agni hotram juhuyat swarga kama. So who will perform Agni Hotra? One who wants to attain to the swarga. Nobody knows whether he attained or not. And no money back guarantee. But still this will. So when you read something, some shloka, you will see that if you read half shloka, one quarter of shloka, you will get this punya, that punya. So these are all marketing strategies to make you read that shloka. Make you read that shloka. So that is why, but because it helps you to do what is intended by the scripture, this also is taken as part of the scripture. According to Mimamsa, that is Purva Mimamsa, the whole Veda is something which makes you do some action. So now these kind of statements also persuade you, coax you into performing Vedic injunctions. And so they have also to be considered as Vedic injunctions only. That is the rule in Mimamsa. There is a kind of sutra, Jaimini Sutra. So similarly, here also we can consider, though it is just giving you, coaxing or persuading you to go into the path of attaining self-realization, you can consider it also as an instruction. But what it means is that if you go on this pursuit of realizing Brahman, that is good for you. That is what it means. Final attainable solution is only Brahman. So Brahmaloke mahiyate. So let us not think about if I go and attain this, then people will start worshipping me. No, that is not what is intended. What is intended is that you should understand yourself, which is completely non-dual, which does not depend on anything. So here is this person whose name was Brother Lawrence. He was in Catholic monasticism, there are two kinds of people who stay in the monastery. One is a lay monk, another one is a priest monk. So you have to write examinations and you have to pass so many things, you become a priest monk. So he was not that, he was a lay monk. Means he did not have education, so he was not even considered. And what he used to do, he used to do cleaning work and cooking work. And also he used to do sewing work. All this leather he used to stitch. But over a period of time, and he has a strong presence, he used to feel the presence of Jesus. He used to feel the presence of the Christ. And he wrote, in fact, what spiritual teachings he gave, they were compiled in a book called The Practice of Presence of God. Those of you who have not read, you can read them. Practice of Presence of God. So he also gave spiritual advice to many people, many regular monks. He gave spiritual advice. What was his, why do I bring up this context? Because he had this alambanam. Alambanam means something you hold on to. Sri Ramakrishna gives the imagery, just like a small child will hold on to a pole and rotate. No? Sometimes children do that and does not fall. If you rotate just like that, you may fall, but hold on to a pole. Sri Ramakrishna says, hold on to God and do whatever you want in the world. So whatever you want means what? It is all like that. Again, advertisement, marketing strategy. He told Girish Chandra Ghosh, you just give me your power of attorney. And after giving, Girish Chandra Ghosh understood that he was in for big trouble because he could not do anything of his own. So whatever you want, you will not be able to do whatever you want. Because you hold on to God, then you will be godly. Alambanam. What is that which you hold on to? So, is that intellect? Is that some talent? Is that something very great? Should you actually read Katha Upanishad or all these Upanishads? That is what we find in the life. We find it in many lives. We find it in the life of Brother Lawrence, who was called the Brother Lawrence of the Resurrection. So he used to constantly feel the presence of the Lord. And the monastery where he was there was a system that they used to strike a bell and they used to say, presence of God. Even now that order follows that system. So whatever people are doing, they will stop for a second and think of the Christ. Apart from their usual meditation sessions and worship and Vesper services, they used to have this. So what? He was a great karma yogi. He transformed. Instead of just sitting and trying to fight with your mind morning and evening, sometimes we don't do that also. Instead of that, he converted his whole life into a meditation. What does he say? He says, the time of business does not with me differ from the time of prayer. And in the noise and clatter of my kitchen, while several persons are at the same time calling for different things, I possess God in as great tranquility as if I were upon my knees at the blessed sacrament. All his life, what he did was just cooking and stitching and all these things. But he had this alambanam. He held on to something great, and that was the Lord. So that is how you practice. You see, when Sister Nivedita writes the introduction to the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, she says that no more distinction between the sacred and the secular. To labor is to pray. That idea of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda, we have to understand. That the difference between sacred and secular, these are not watertight compartments. And if they are, they should not be so. Because that means you are constantly harboring, cultivating ideas of duality. Instead of that, you just go beyond that. Sacred and secular. There will be only sacred. There will be no secular. There will be nothing profane or mundane in your life. There will be only divine. So that's what we do in the Indian tradition. It's not that we have a devil or a god. It's not a dualistic concept. For us, everything is divine. You have